Aquaman, Alan Ritchson discusses being replaced by Justin Hartley in failed DC pilot. Reacher star Alan Ritchson recently opened up about being replaced by Justin Hartley in DC's failed Aquaman pilot, despite playing the role of Arthur A.C. Curry in the hit series Smallville. "I wasn't mad at all. Why would I be mad?" Ritchson shared during a new episode of the Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum podcast, as reported by TVLine. "I hadn't done anything at that point. Smallville was my first gig." Ritchson further explained he was approached about reprising the role of AC in a planned spin-off series only weeks after making his debut on Smallville in Season 5, Episode 4, Aqua, but said things got complicated following the merger of the WB and UPN. "We started working on a deal, and the president of UPN was looking at this roster of shows and going, 'Who the hell is that guy?' Which is the same thing I would do," recalled Ritchson with a laugh. "I was sitting there like, I can't believe it was this easy. I've been here 3 weeks and I've got my own show." While the actor said his agents fought for him to star in the show, the new network head ultimately decided to go with Hartley, recalling that he was told, "Actually, Justin Hartley just came off the NBC soap opera Passions and he's available and we're going to go with him." For what it's worth, Ritchson ended up using the moment as a learning opportunity, explaining, "I learned the best lesson I could early on to hold loosely to this stuff because nothing is guaranteed and nothing is owed to me. If I hadn't learned that lesson early, I would have been an entitled a hole." Fans will recall that Hartley did go on to appear in the Aquaman pilot as Arthur C. Curry, who is depicted in the series as a young man living in the Florida Keys who learns he's destined to be the Prince of Atlantis. While the pilot was expected to premiere in fall 2006, the newly formed CW network opted not to buy the series. However, Hartley ended up starring alongside Ritchson and podcast host Rosenbaum in Smallville when he was introduced as Oliver Queen/Green Arrow in Season 6, Episode 2, Sneeze. Both Ritchson's AC and Hartley's Oliver also became romantically involved with Erica Durance's Lois Lane at different points in the series. Ritchson currently stars as Jack Reacher in Season 1 of Reacher. Season 1 of the series is streaming now on Prime Video. In the expansive world of superhero adaptations, both for the big screen and television, there are often fascinating stories behind the scenes that the public rarely gets to hear about. One of these tales revolves around an Aquaman pilot that never quite saw the light of day. The story involves 2 actors who, at different points in their careers, were poised to take on the iconic role of Arthur Curry, better known as Aquaman. Alan Ritchson and Justin Hartley were both attached to portray the Atlantean King, and in recent interviews, Ritchson has opened up about being replaced by Hartley for the ill-fated Aquaman pilot. The origins of this story date back to the early 2000s, when superhero television was just beginning to find its footing. Shows like Smallville were helping to popularize DC characters on the small screen, and the idea of bringing more heroes into the fold was an enticing one for networks. Aquaman, with his connection to the oceans and unique powers, seemed like a natural fit for a television series. The pilot, originally titled Mercy Reef, was set to explore Arthur Curry's origins as a young man discovering his Atlantean heritage and his eventual destiny as the ruler of the seas. Alan Ritchson, who had already appeared as Aquaman on Smallville in 2005, seemed like the natural choice for the role. He had made a memorable impression on fans, portraying a version of Arthur Curry that was both physically imposing and filled with the confidence expected of a superhero. His version of Aquaman quickly became a fan favorite, and many assumed that he would naturally transition into the leading role in the spin-off series that was being developed. However, things did not go as planned. Ritchson recently reflected on this period of his career, speaking candidly about how he learned he wouldn't be moving forward as Aquaman in the new show. "It was one of those things where you think you're in the right place at the right time, and then suddenly the rug gets pulled out from under you," Ritchson said. He admitted that he was disappointed at the time, but understood that decisions in Hollywood can be unpredictable, often driven by factors beyond an actor's control. Justin Hartley, who would later gain widespread recognition for his role as Kevin Pearson in This Is Us, was ultimately cast as Aquaman for the Mercy Reef pilot. At the time, Hartley was best known for his work on soap operas like Passions and his breakout role as Oliver Queen in Green Arrow on Smallville following his work on Aquaman. Interestingly, Hartley's casting marked a departure from Ritchson's portrayal, as the production team sought a different energy and direction for the new iteration of Aquaman. Ritchson, reflecting on being replaced, acknowledged that the decision wasn't personal. "I knew Justin Hartley, and we've always had a good rapport. There's no bad blood between us." Hollywood is full of these moments where you feel like things are aligning, and then a curveball comes your way. "It's all part of the journey," Ritchson explained in an interview. He was gracious about Hartley's casting, stating, "Justin's a fantastic actor, and he brought something different to the role. He wasn't trying to replicate what I did on Smallville, and that's admirable." Despite the high hopes for the Mercy Reef pilot, the series never made it to air. The pilot episode, directed by Greg Beeman and written by Alfred Goff and Miles Miller, was shot in 2006 and garnered attention from fans and media alike. The story was set in a seaside town and followed a young Arthur Curry as he began to unravel the mysteries of his past while dealing with supernatural threats emerging from the ocean's depths. The pilot had some impressive underwater sequences, and Hartley in particular was praised for his charisma and physicality in the role. However, the series ultimately failed to secure a full season order from the CW, which had just emerged from the merger of UPN and the WB. The network reportedly had difficulty finding a place for Mercy Reef in their new lineup, and the show was quietly shelved. Looking back on this failed venture, both Ritchson and Hartley have had successful careers post-Aquaman. Ritchson went on to star in various television series and films, notably as Hank Hall/Hawk in Titans, and most recently as the titular character in Reacher, where his towering presence and action star charisma have earned him praise. Hartley, meanwhile, became a household name with his role in This Is Us, receiving critical acclaim and multiple award nominations. In reflecting on his time as Aquaman, Ritchson noted how the superhero landscape has changed dramatically since then. "It's funny to think about how back then being part of a superhero project was still considered kind of niche. Now it's one of the biggest things you can do as an actor," he said. "I look at the Aquaman character now, with Jason Momoa bringing him to life on the big screen, and it's amazing to see how far things have come. The character has evolved, and so has the way we tell these stories." Despite the disappointment of losing out on the role, Ritchson doesn't hold any grudges. "Every experience shapes you as an actor, and every no leads you to the right yes," he mused. "I'm proud of what I've done since then, and I think it all worked out for the best." As for Justin Hartley, he has also spoken positively about his brief stint as Aquaman. "It was a fun project, and even though it didn't go forward, I learned a lot from it. Plus, it helped me land the Green Arrow role on Smallville, so everything happens for a reason," Hartley remarked in a separate interview. Ultimately, the story of Mercy Reef and the two actors who were attached to the role of Aquaman serves as a reminder of the unpredictability of Hollywood. Both Ritchson and Hartley have thrived in their careers since those early days, proving that sometimes the paths not taken still lead to success. Although fans never got to see a full-fledged Aquaman series in the early 2000s, both actors left their mark on the DC universe, each in their unique way. Both Ritchson and Hartley have thrived in their careers since those early days, proving that sometimes the paths not taken still lead to success. Although fans never got to see a full-fledged Aquaman series in the early 2000s, both actors left their mark on the DC universe, each in their unique way.